when we want to make the heels and soles of our socks or elbow areas of our sweaters thicker and stronger, we can't use 2 strands of yarn because that would mess up the gauge of the pattern. But we can reinforce every stitch if we make an extra stitch in one row and then decrease that stitch in the next row. And the pulled increases method is perfect for this task. It helps to separate the stitch patterns with stitch markers so you know where to start working in this denser stockinette stitch pattern. And that's what we're gonna do right now. So I work to the first stitch marker where I know that I should start making an increase. So I slip the stitch marker and I make an increase right here around the stitch. So to do that, keep the yarn at the back of the work and then insert the tip of the right needle from front to back into the spot that is between the first 2 stitches on the left needle, like this. Simply push the needle in between the stitches. And then wrap the tip of the right needle with the yarn like we normally do when we make a knit stitch and pull the wrap through, creating an extra stitch. And then knit the first stitch from the tip of the left needle. That would be the stitch that is at the right side of this spot where we pulled the stitch from. So I'm gonna knit that stitch, and here's what we've got. We've got an extra stitch over here, and then we've got a regular stitch that we knit just as we do when we work in stockinette stitch. And then we do the same thing, making an increase, forming that extra stitch, and then knitting the first stitch from the tip of the left needle. And we do it again and again until we get to the very end of this part of our project, the one that we want to reinforce, to make stronger and thicker. And that would be right over here for me, because here's a stitch marker that tells me that it's time to stop making increases and move to the regular, to the main stitch pattern of the project. In my case, it's stockinette stitch, but it could be anything else. Turn your work. So now, as you see, we have lots and lots of, I'm gonna move the markers over here so we see this segment. So we have lots and lots of stitches over here, basically doubled the number of stitches. But please don't worry, we're gonna get rid of those stitches right away. First, we work to the first stitch marker, to the part that we make thicker and stronger. Then I slip the stitch marker, and then we simply purl 2 stitches together. And that's going to be a combo of a regular stitch and the extra stitch, the reinforcement stitch that we created in the previous row. So I insert the tip of the right needle from right to left into both these stitches and purl them together as usual. And we do it to each pair of stitches on the left needle. So whenever we see 2 stitches together in this part of the project, in this segment, then we simply purl them together, one after another. And now I get to the second stitch marker that tells me it's time to stop decreasing and move to the main stitch pattern of the project. Repeat these 2 rows, and then you will see that you form a part of the project that is heavily textured. It's much thicker. You can't see it on the camera, but when you touch the project over here and over here where it has a stockinette stitch pattern, it feels much thicker and denser. And if you use wool, then these extra stitches are gonna bond to the regular stitches very quickly as soon as you start wearing your project, and then you will have a really thick and dense fabric that will stay holeless for a very long time. So it is a perfect pattern to use to reinforce the soles of the socks, the ones that you wear at home or in cottage, or to reinforce the heels if that's the spot where you get holes very quickly. Even toes of the socks would probably benefit if that's again the weak spot in your socks, then you can use the stitch pattern. If you're working in the round, as we normally do when we make socks, right? Then in the second round, instead of purling 2 stitches together, we're gonna knit 2 stitches together, just as we do when we work a stockinette stitch in the round. So we knit all stitches in every round, and it is true for this denser stockinette stitch as well. So instead of purling these 2 stitches, we're gonna knit them together. And you can use this stitch pattern to reinforce a part of the project, or you can use it as an all-over pattern of your project. See, it looks really good as an all-over pattern as well, and it will make a nice windproof hat or heavy-duty mittens. To download the full PDF version of this and other tutorials published this year, consider joining the club. Happy knitting, my friend. I'll talk to you in the next tutorial.